here, and there's the record. Looks like I'm recording it. All right, beautiful. So welcome everybody. I'm not going to show you my ugly mug. I'm going to show you the heart of the matter. Now, that was a little bit of a clickbait title to get you guys here, but in fact, you know, this whole thing, the more I look at it, and it's only been since December I'm back into the game again, right? The more I look at it, I said to myself, you know, there's just got to be a way to cut through it all, right? Just to cut right to the chase, right? And it's why I'm listening to Sean all the time, listening to Gigi, and it just clicked for me last week. I said to myself, man, you know, life is symmetrical. Life is symmetrical. What the hell does that mean? And life has patterns, right? And so I said to myself, you know what? That's all trading is. Trading is just recognizing the patterns. And then I heard Sean say it over and over and over and over and over again. It didn't click really about how to transfer that knowledge until last week. Market structure. Market structure. Market structure. What the hell's market structure? It's a term that, you know, what does it really mean? It means symmetry. It means symmetry. So everything can be defined in this world by patterns and symmetry. Everything moves in waves. All of y'all know the sine waves. We all know about Fibonacci and how many times that shows up in the world, right? So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you something, and I'm just going to cover one tiny little aspect of what you guys know about trading, maybe don't know. I'm going to break it down as simple as I possibly can, all right? So here's a chart. Let me go to a chart, all right? So I just pulled this one up, right? This is, can you guys all see this by any chance?
Yeah, bro.
Y'all can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so this is a 30,000 foot view. The reason I say 30,000 foot view is because it's a real long-term view. It's a daily chart, but there's a lot of years here, right? It goes all the way back to 2014, right? So I'm looking at this from a real top level view to start with, right? But what I wanted to show you, and you guys have probably seen this before, right? But I just wanted to show you the miracle of symmetry, the miracle of pattern repeating over and over in the marketplace, over and over. And I can't make this shit up, people. I mean, you know, it's like when I put the symmetry test to the test, it's like it comes up over and over and over and over again. All right, so if you guys haven't used this tool, start using it. I used to draw, you know, two of these, right? And I would draw one on top of the other. It takes time to match it up to create an equidistant channel, right? In between prices, That's what I used to do, but it takes time. And then, you know, we have that trusty dusty tool, which is right here. This one right here on MT4. Just click on that bad boy and start learning how to use this, okay? Look how easy this is, right? It creates an equidistant channel for you, and then you can grab it and place it anywhere you want. I'll show you how I did that on this chart, right? I want you to check something out, right? Look, I just marked this up just before the call. Just picked a random chart. Check out what happens when these are all equidistant channels. That means the slope of each line above and below these particular channels are exactly the same slope, exactly. I mean, take a close look at this on a macro level. Look at how many freaking times over the course of August 2014 through April of 2015, this particular trend line was respected. I can't make this up, people. I mean, how on earth does price go right down and bounce off and go back down and bounce right off over and over again? Same thing above here. Boom, boom, boom. Now, None of these channels ever last forever, because then, gosh, everybody would be multimillionaires, right? If channels just kept on going and all you had to do is trade in the channels, you know, obviously that would be a little bit easy, right? And everybody would have a lot of money driving Lamborghinis as their third car. So obviously at some point, these channels break down, right? But in the meantime, if you're managing your money correctly and your stop losses and your risk parameters, you can make a crap load of money. So on a macro view, just look at this, right? And you guys have seen this before, right? But I mean, look at how it was respected. And you know, you can draw some of these a little bit differently, right? You can draw them so that they match up a little bit better. And again, this is on a macro view, right? I'm going to delve down deep, right, to show you guys that even down to a 5-minute chart level, this stays respected over and over again, almost miraculously, almost like in an unbelievable fashion. So, I mean, take a look here. Right? Look at this. You draw a trend line between 2 points, and it gets respected way the hell over here, right? Which means what? Here's what it means. It means that you're going to have this one that you're going to have drawn on the chart, and there's going to be a long period of time where it's not going to come close to, right? In the meantime, you're trading on shorter time frames over here, right? But on that odd occasion when you get a confluence of factors, right? And that could be trend line, right? We'll draw a trend line here. And look, I just drew this, just drew it, right? Look what happens here. We get a confluence of factors like this as it relates to trends, right? And look at how it respected that. When you have two separate trend lines that are coming together, you got to know that, look, how long do we follow this trend line for? Well, maybe we stop following it when it hits this one and it turns into this one now. Do you understand the power of simple just channels? This should be one of the most powerful things you should use to start marking up your charts with, right? Get really good at visualizing price movement using price channels with the equidistant indicator that you have on MT4 here. Because people, it works. It just frickin' works, all right? This was an old one I had drawn in manually, but if I draw one in automatically, it's just ridiculous what it does, right? And again, it doesn't last forever. Grab it, pull it up here, and you can play with it, right? In this case, it did surpass it a bit, came back down again, but how much are we out here, right? These are the times of drawdown that you hear Sean talk about all the time, right? What kind of drawdown potentially max do we have here? Okay, that's quite a bit of a drawdown because we're in a big macro view level. That's about 260 points. We definitely don't want to draw down that far, right? But when you're actually delving deep, you're going to do things a bit differently, right? So let's dive in a little bit. Let's just dive in here and see what's going on. So this is the daily chart. So as you can see on this lower trend line here, and all I did is quickly draw an equidistant channel, right? On this lower trend line here, this was respected. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can potentially consider this one, right? And this is why you must pay attention to details, all right? Because you'll notice that Sean, He'll call a trade and it's not hitting the trend line yet. He'll call a trade. Why? Experience. Experience. That's why. Experience has shown him that sometimes it comes close to the trend line, but it doesn't touch it, yet it's a very, very valid signal. Look what it did. Very valid signal, right? And even if he gets in a little bit early, he knows that it's most likely going to respect this trend line, and even if it overshoots it a little bit, he'll be in a little bit of a drawdown. But if there's other factors that are telling you should be getting into this trade, and they are aligning towards getting into the trade in the direction that you should be you want to be going, it's okay to get in a tiny little bit earlier, because what'll happen is if you absolutely wait every single time for it to touch the trend line, you might miss out on a trade. And you guys can see here that this was a big one, right? Even if I take it on the close of this green candle, you know, that's a big move, people. We're talking 400 pips before it comes to the other one, and halfway in it's about 200. So what I'm trying to tell you is use these equidistant channels, right? And Sean teaches this. You know, he teaches the fact that you should first try and fit in an equally sloped trend line. First, try and fit that. It's not always going to be like that. It won't always be that way. But more often than not, you will find that you can actually find a slope that matches both the upper and lower, and the price points are going to hit it all day long, right? Let me take a look at this right here. Let me see what happened here. Because, you know, from every indication that we've learned, when it hits this upper trend line, you're wanting to go short, especially it's hit at 1, 2. And let's say this part hasn't happened yet. You know, this is wicky as hell. I mean, this is a ton of wicks, right? We're an oversold, not necessarily divergent RSI, although you could make a case for it potentially, but not really. We are in an upswing with price here and flat on the RSI here. So you could say there is some divergence, right? So you'd be taking a short here or a sell. But let's say you took a sell right here, right? Let's see how far out of whack you'd go. So this could be a case where it doesn't work, right? Let's take a look. So this is a big one, right? This is a big move. This is 140 something, 150 something move against you. This may be one of those when you're actually, you know, you're either going to get stopped out potentially, or you're going to be sweating bullets, right? Waiting for the retracement. Now, it depends upon when this happened. This had to be a really fast move, which is another thing. Price action. Take a look at price action in the marketplace always. If it's moving fast, like really fast up and down, like super fast, that's usually an indication of the market makers making a move. And I don't mean to get into additional things. I don't want to get into additional things here. I just want to focus on price channels, right? And trending channels, right? So we can talk about situations like this. I personally think, if I was a betting man, that this is probably a day when there was news given in the marketplace. And I highly recommend that you guys bring up, you know, a calendar of events that will tell you when certain events happen in the marketplace, and they tend to move the markets. I would highly recommend that you have that open at the start of every single trading day. Take a look at it. And if you guys want, I'll find you one that I thought I had it open, but I didn't. I'll drop it in the Masterminds chat, And I like it because it categorizes news events by colors. So like red is like, hey, beware. You know, this one has been known to really move the marketplace. So you get to decide, hey, do I want to be in the market when this particular news event is going to happen? Or do I want to step out, let that news event happen, and then decide if I want to get back in again? Because really, any doggone thing could happen when one of those major news events get announced. And it could actually just do crazy things. It could go way the heck up. It could go way the heck down. And it's just trying to take out everyone's stops, right? So I know Sean is really great at working those, and you can decide to do that. But me personally, I would tend to stay out of those events until I feel like I get a little bit more experience to be able to take advantage of them more often. And what will happen is, this another good thing that you should do on those events is to watch price movement on those days. Watch what those market makers are doing. Watch what those banks are doing. Watch how they move the markets. Watch how crazy, ridiculous price moves in a super fast fashion, and then you'll start seeing it slow down. It'll start slowing down. And then sometimes it'll speed up again just to take out those last Mohicans. But watch it so you can get a feel for what those market makers and those banks are doing in those particular currency pairs. And after a while, you're going to start getting a flavor, and you'll be like, I know what these guys are doing. I know exactly what these guys are doing. I know exactly what's going to happen next because I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And next time, I'm going to capitalize on it. And you can. Sean knows exactly what I'm talking about. He does it all the time. I'm amazed sometimes. And all it takes is just experience in watching particular markets and pairs and seeing how price movement acts. This is why market structure and price movement are so important. This is why he talks about it all the time. Pay attention to these details that he talks about, because a lot of times, you know, they come from obviously experience, but because he's so used to it, it's like second nature. He's unconsciously competent in these particular indicators and these particular movements, right? And so he doesn't even know he's great at it. He just is, as a result of all these years of him doing it, all right? So pay attention to some of these things that he talks about. Anyways, let me see what else we can do here. This is still the daily, right? So let's just play around. Let's just play around on some shorter time frames and see what happens. So this is random, right? Just came up on the 4 hour. I'm going to draw an equidistant channel up here. Boom.
Hello?
Hello? Are you there?
Hey, I lost the signal. Yeah, I want to add something real quick. Everything that you were just saying, that's exactly what I mean by hit the market like it's an investigation. Like, that's exactly what I mean. I couldn't have really said it better than what you just did. So
perfect. Sounds good.
On that.
Awesome. So here's another. Here's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who was that?
I want to add something too, dude. I'm stealing the thunder a little bit. Is that all right?
Oh man, listen, bro. You're not stealing any kind of thunder. You're here to edify all of us, my brother. Go for it.
All right, cool. Can you go back to the maybe zoom out a little bit to where you originally had the screen? You talked there for a while. Yeah, can you move it just to the right a little bit for us, center it? There we go, perfect. Okay, can we zoom into those two, that double top, that basically that rectangle red area, and then move it to the left? Perfect. Okay, so everybody can see on Harry's chart here, very well mapped out. The market's always going to retest the previous high. The market has to retest. It's a rule. It's gonna happen. Actually, if you move it to the right a little bit, Harry, I want to see that other low that's hidden. See that? There's another retest of that previous low. Okay, so that's actually a perfect range. If you drew a green rectangle down there, that's a perfect range. Okay, so but I want you guys to notice something. The first point, you couldn't really trade the first point unless you looked left and it had already happened previously. It wouldn't be really a good trade, right? But the point to the right here that we see now, that has touched that zone again is obviously a retest, okay? So that's the one that we want to get on. We always want to get in on the retest. But when Harry talked about the market makers, right where he drew that ellipse, actually, you're going to notice something, okay? The market, and I don't know if you were just talking about this or not. I couldn't tell if that's what it was. I was kind of in between. So if I'm repeating something, let me know. It's hard for me to identify it, but to the left of that ellipse, yeah, great. That's great. If you look right to the left of that ellipse, there's a red candle, Harry. Right there. Yep, that red candle right there, okay, tested that zone, okay? So sellers got in the market. They said, okay, this is the retest. This is the spot we want it to be at. We're getting in here. Or even to the left, those two dojis. People would have gotten in right there. It touched the red zone. People are like, hey, we're getting in. And then look at what the market did. It pushed up a little bit further on the next green candle, but then it dropped. Okay, so now it dropped again. So now the market's feeling good about this position. They're like, okay, this is looking good. But then look what happens. That giant green candle, if you saw that green candle on the hourly or on the 15-minute, and look at how far it exceeded that zone. I mean, people right at that point right there, they were either getting stopped out or they were getting out of that trade because they thought, oh, this is it. This is the break. Everybody's so worried about the break. Everybody's so worried about, is it going to break down? Is it going to go? Is it going to break resistance? Is it going to break support? Listen, if you look at the chart and you look at historically what's happened, the market's going to trade within the range 75, 80% of the time. Then the other 20% is when it makes its break. Where are the odds in your favor? The odds are in your favor in the range. So there comes a point where you just got to trust the trade and say, hey, look, this thing might exceed the zone a little bit, but I trust the price pattern here. I've seen this before. It's going to play out. And of course, like Harry talked about, don't give it too much credit. I mean, don't give it 200 pip drawdown, but we are on the daily, so, you know, you have to give it a little bit. But, hey, I don't know how much of a drawdown was that, Harry, above that red zone and that on that wick on that candle.
It was 83, but, you know, it was also respecting the trend line that was previously drawn from back here as well.
Okay, so, yeah, see, I wouldn't have gotten out of that because it's still respecting the trend line. Now, if it would have pushed a little bit further, that would have been concerning, but I can already guarantee you people were scared of that, the volume of that green candle, because if you see it, most people trade on a smaller time frame, 15-minute, 1 hour. That's a much bigger looking move on those time frames. That's where the market makers are getting people because it looks a lot bigger than it is. So whenever and this is the last thing I'm going to say, whenever I'm in a long-term trade, daily 4 hour, psychologically, well, first of all, I'm looking at structure. Okay, structure looks good still, but I'm on the daily, okay? It's going to look a lot more extreme on those smaller time frames. So look, if you're in a trade where it's not going the right way, 20, 30, 40, 50 pips, you need to look at the higher time frame and say, okay, is this really as extreme as it looks, or is this exactly where it needs to be? And I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'll go to the daily and be like, you know, this is right where it needs to be. It's exceeded it a little bit. Okay, it almost always does. It's going to make the move, and then eventually it plays out.
Thank you, Sean. That was awesome.
All right. Thanks, Harry.
Beautiful stuff. And, you know, since we're here, you know, these wicks here, they're very indicative also of being very confident, especially if you have other indicators. I mean, look, the prices are going up, right? RSI is going down. You know, this is telling you, hey, man, this is getting ready to turn, right? You got wicks to the upside, market makers, banks trying to get people out. This is ready to just do something here. I mean, there's so many things here. You got resistance, you got divergence, you got hitting the upper trend line. This is what you all want to have in place before you get into a trade. So don't look for the first thing to get you into the trade. Look for like, oh my God, there's so many things that are telling me to get into the trade that I'd be stupid not to get into a trade.
Right. And dude, when you talked about on that other call that we had, market outlook, the cross of the resistance and the trend line. When you have two factors that important, market structure, a top trend line crossing a resistance, man, that's like a sell all day right there. When those two things happen, I mean, that for me is enough. That tells me, okay, it's time to go. It's going to drop. I don't know how much, but I need to get in, and then I need to figure it out later.
I mean, right here is where you're talking about. And look, even here, if you got there, I'm going to move this out of the way, right?
That's a perfect entry.
Perfect entry. I mean, look how much it moved, right? You're getting in over here. You're talking about, 100, that's a 180 point move right there to the bottom.
And guys, think about this for a minute. Harry, I mean, I gotta point this out because this is a really important point here. I'm really glad you came to this part of the chart because look at how price acted there. It actually really, on the daily, was consolidating minus that one big, and there is a bigger red candle there to the right, but really a consolidation point. Can you find that same spot on the 4 hour? I want to show everybody because I can get a little bit more detail on this. This is why I love the 4 hour so much because it really gives you a lot of clues on what's going on in the daily. And then can you compress the chart a little bit just to that one spot we were at? That's it right there, right? Yeah. Okay. We're good. Harry, look at, guys, everybody, look at this. This is incredible. Look at how many times it retested that zone. I have one, I mean, I'm counting every single one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll count that 9, 10 times. 10 times. Dude, how is that messing with people's head? You know what I'm saying? Like, the average retail trader is scared of that trade now. And then especially that move in the middle. Especially that move in the middle that exceeded.
Yeah.
People were scared. People were scared, dude.
And the market makers knew it. They're just killing people. Look at these movements up here. And these long wicks, these long wicks. You guys should be salivating when you see these wicks. I mean, really salivating. This is like, Jesus, it's like you're a hungry dog when you see this. You're like a Doberman looking at a fresh steak. You're saying, oh my God, look at this. But look, you got to be patient, right? You got to be patient. That's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 hours, or more, 28 hours before it finally starts going down, right? So you got to be patient and you got to write out these moves, but man, you get rewarded.
Yeah, I want to add one thing on here too, Harry. I keep doing this. Sorry, man.
No, okay. Don't be sorry. Just jump in, bro. Look, that's a 160 point move right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, guys, listen, when you got to really, when we talk about price action, okay, people, I don't know. When I teach price action, I talk to you guys about having that volume and the wicking and all that, but you need to look at what happened previously to really determine if you're getting in on a good entry. Let's look at that rally there to the left, okay? That's a very healthy move. You have to know what a healthy move looks like and an unhealthy move, okay? A healthy move is that rally right there where it went up, impulse, pullback, impulse, pullback, and it almost had a perfect structure. Here you could draw two trend lines on that one right there, and it'd be symmetrical. That is a healthy rally to the upside. Now, after that, what you notice is it does fail at resistance. It drops down. It creates a double bottom or a W formation. Now, the W formation, double bottom, is a very strong price pattern indicating an uptrend, okay? So at this point, long-term sellers are really thinking about this. They're like, oh, no, it just had a double bottom. I don't know here. And then it made that big move to the upside, right? That's the move where you want to get in, is when it goes up and retests again. So really, the ultimate move would have been up there. I mean, ultimately, it would have been, because I would have had some concern with how healthy that rally was looking back there. But as you pointed out, there was some bearish divergence going on. That was a good indication of a drop. But I can tell right there from that double bottom, that was the market maker's way of saying, hey, this is our little trick here. We're going to throw this in. We're gonna let it bounce and have a couple retests and then see what happens. I guarantee that one single move knocked out thousands of players. They were gone. And then the rest, it was just marginal, whatever. They paid them off and said, that's fine. Now, if you look at a move like, the one with the trend line under it, okay, that's a little bit of a steeper decline. They had a little bit of a double top there. You can expect more of a pullback, and that's exactly what occurred. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Right there, Harry, that double top right there had a pretty steep drop, okay, on that last leg was a pretty steep drop, even went below that red trend line Harry has drawn there. Okay, generally speaking, they're going to be pretty symmetrical. The last leg should have stopped where the other leg stopped. Do you see that green candle with the giant wick on it? Right there above your mouse a little bit to the left. To the left a little bit.
This one? Green
a little
one?
bit more. Big wick. It's a big wick.
Oh.
Keep going left.
Here?
No, keep going. It's an up wick, a wick up.
Oh, here.
Right there, yep. That was the move to sucker in the buyers right there. So they were tricking the buy because that was look, if you draw a line from the bottom of that candle to the left side of that double top, that's the bottom. That's the base. Okay, so that's when people would typically buy. But look what it did. It went up. It did, and if you took profit there, you were in a good spot. But it ultimately ended up dropping. But then again, it did go back up, and it had to retrace a little bit more than previously because of the nature of that downtrend. So you really got to study the price and how far it's being driven. I mean, if it's a steep downtrend, expect a sharp retracement. You have to trust that that's going to occur. That's the biggest thing I notice with people. They second guess whether it's going to pull back. They see all that momentum and they get scared and they think, man, this is a steep downtrend. I don't know if we're going to recover. And it always does, and it will. It usually, I would say at least to the 61.8, if not more, because it needs to do that in order to sustain the trend. That's all I got on that.
I mean, check out, you're drawing, look, try and draw trend lines in as much as you possibly can. Because daggone it, they're respected big time, a large majority of the time. Like Sean was saying, this is a steep downtrend, real steep, right? Fooling everybody over here to the upside, continue on down, big giant red candle. This looks like it's never ending going down, right? Never ending to the marketplace. And then it's like, look, you draw this freaking trend line over here. Damn it, if it wasn't respected. Frick, you were only 15. If you would have gotten right here at the trend line, it's only 15 pips, 15 ticks. You would have been in a drawdown, and then kaboom, way up here.
Yeah, I have an interesting point on that.
Go.
When people are looking at the trend, you have to keep in mind, people are looking left. The trend, everybody look at this trend with the red lines. The red trend lines was the old trend. Okay, that was the uptrend. The green trend lines are signifying the downtrend. So when you look at this, the traders didn't know this was going to be a downtrend until it actually broke through, okay? So when Harry drew that new trend line, that was a very, very important trend line to draw. That's why sometimes, I'll look at the bottom and just go ahead and draw a trend line just like he did, because you want to assume what could come next. You always want to be thinking, if then what?
Yeah.
All right? That's the thing. If then what? So assuming, okay, maybe it does reverse here. Maybe it breaks that structure. I need to draw what I believe could be the new structure now. You could do that just based on the top green trend line. Okay, you see the one that's going through the zone up there, guys? That top green trend line could be an indication of the new trend forming. Now let's take a look. Is there more price to the right that we can look at? Or is that the end of it? Is that current?
No, look.
That's the trend.
That's the trend. Check it out. I mean, check this out, right? So, we're right here.
Yep.
It respected it right here. Let's see how far out we were over here.
That's the new trend right there. Descending channel, that's going to end up going up. That's going to be an uptrend.
That's an easy one to have that move against you and not be worried. 38.
Oh, sorry, Harry, this is GBP odd. We're in a buy on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be an uptrend.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, look at the impulsive price action down there through the green line, that big green candle right there. I mean, that's enough to tell you had a nice little pullback. It should continue to the upside.
Yeah.
It could stop at that red trend line that Harry has drawn. That's something we should look at, but ultimately it should go back to the top of the channel. We are in a new, it is a downtrend now technically, so we have to be careful with that. But yeah, I'm confident it's going to maintain that structure and continue to move to the upside, unless it does that, which you're doing there, which is possible too. So we'll find out soon. But usually those tight channels, that's consolidation, right? That's not breaking out. So to me, it's not going to maintain that consolidation much longer. It needs to take a break. And at this point, it should break to the upside based on the analysis, right?
Yep.
Assuming, Harry, that it did continue to the downside, what would be our worst case scenario, do you think? Because it has to continue to respect the range, right? I mean, so what do you think our worst case scenario would be if this buy didn't play out right away? What do you think would happen?
So I would immediately, I'm taking a look at this trend line up here that was drawn by these two major high peaks. I would draw an equidistant one, which I did here. I might want to match this up a little bit better, and I would draw a trend line down here matching these lower prices down here.
Yep.
Something like this or something like this.
Yep.
one of those two. Trying to match up, the bottom here somewhere. And it might come down here to hit down here. And again, I'd look to the left some more, right? I'd jump out, maybe to the daily, look to the left, see if there was some resistance down here.
Yep.
Right? Or support, I'm sorry. I'd look for some support to see if there was something that existed to the left.
Beautiful setup, man. Looks good. Actually, Harry, do you think that there's a bit of a wedge forming there? If you move your mouse to the left, there's a red candle that's poking through that red zone up there.
On the top.
Move your mouse to the right a little bit. All right, now go up to the right. Now over to the right. That peak right there. If you draw a trend line from that wick right there, see how there's a potential for like a descending wedge down to where price is currently at. Maybe try a trend line there and see if we've got a little bit of price squeezing going on here. Yeah, you can cut through that wick a little bit because you can see there's another candle that it'll touch if you push down a little bit further. See, that's looking pretty good to me. Looks like another point of resistance possibly. But
yeah.
It's a descending wedge, so we should see a move to the upside. Hopefully this is the breakout right here.
Yeah.
And again, guys, that is just market geometry where it's an analysis, right? That might not be a valid wedge. I don't know, but it looks like prices is definitely starting to squeeze, and now it's almost to the bottleneck, right? And when it gets to the bottleneck, it breaks out. So I think we're pretty close to the bottleneck here. There's a lot of indecision right now.
Yeah, totally.
It's an art project. You know what I mean? You're an artist. People think it's all science. It's an art too.
So, we got prices going down, right? RSI is holding steady, if not up. So we are seeing some RSI divergence on a minor level. Price is going down. RSI is tending to go up. So that's a good sign. Although, you don't want to use it as a primary indicator. You just want to use it as a backup, as a confirmation.
Yep, there is bearish or bullish divergence too. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Descending channel. Descending wedge, really. Bullish divergence.
Cool.
Okay, question, because I'm trying to mark this up on my own trading view, just trying to follow along, and there's an awful lot of lines here. It's just fine. It's not a problem. I'm just trying to figure out where the wedge is. Is it the bottom green line and the light green line that you brought down on the inside?
There you go.
Is it the bottom of the channel? Is it the bottom of the major channel and then a green line from that wick at the resistance? That line coming down from the resistance, is that where you're saying the wedge is?
Those two that I highlighted there, the ones that are highlighted with red dots.
Red dots. Thank you.
And I can move that a little bit, right? I could move it a little bit.
No, it's okay. I wasn't sure where it was. I was confused on the lines.
All right, cool. So that's all I had, people. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was instructive. And Sean, thank you so much, buddy, for coming in. I really appreciate you being here. This was super. All those comments you made, super helpful, super helpful. Every time you utter a word in Forex, I learn. I hope everybody feels the same. And I thank you all for being here. I'm going to record this thing. I'm going to hopefully allow this to be shared in some way. If you guys want to take a look at this again, be glad to give it to you.
Hey, Harry.
You guys got any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
If you'd like to upload the video, I can go ahead and upload it to YouTube and share it with the team if you'd like.
That'll be awesome.
Cool, man. Sounds good. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. Drop some questions if you still have any into the group chat. We're glad to help answer them for you.
Thanks, Harry. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Harry. Good night.
Welcome. Good night.